When was the last time you used a coloring book? You know, these things, they're filled with line drawings where you get to fill in the spaces with your own colors, and if you're a real artist, it probably looks something like this. I want to make something that resembles a functional coloring book in Minecraft, and in theory, it should be pretty straightforward. I can just import an image using a world edit image brush, and boom, with a little bit of work, we now have a functional coloring page inside of Minecraft. However, even though this might resemble a coloring page in real life, it has a major design flaw if we're making this in Minecraft. When your tools are pen and paper, a two-dimensional surface is great, but we're working with 3D blocks, so we need to innovate and switch to a three-dimensional workspace if we want to utilize Minecraft's full potential. So let's restart. I was building with my friend once, and they said to me that they really struggled with getting the shapes right, and that their favorite part of building was actually adding the details at the end. And that got me thinking, in the way a coloring book lets you practice your coloring, I want to create a way for us to be able to practice our building without the hassle of actually having to really build anything. And the thing that most people enjoy building are houses. So the theme for this page is going to be a classic farming village. I started by developing a range of different houses in different shapes and sizes to populate this village. Some single story and some multi-story to create a bit of height variation too. At this point you might be thinking, what's with all the wacky colors? Why are they all built out of wool? The wool blocks simply act as placeholders to be replaced later. If I made these houses out of the blocks and colors you would expect them to be, then there would be nothing left for you to color in and experiment with, and you wouldn't be inclined to change them, which would, I guess, completely defeat the purpose, right? Each color of wool represents a different part of the structure as well. So we start with light gray as the foundation, magenta as the framing, yellow as a filling block, orange for the flooring, light blue as the roof, and red as the chimneys, and so on. So now that we have a range of different buildings, they need somewhere to live. I found this pretty cool seed that had a large flat area with a small lake in the middle and a river running beside it, so I used a bunch of creative tools like World Edit and Voxel Sniper to clear and level it out to make it easier for me to build on. After my first attempt, I felt the terrain still looked really messy, and I decided I wanted to create a town hall type building on this raised area, which was a structure that I didn't have. So I went back to the drawing board and designed the town hall to figure out how much space I would need for it. And after that was done, I redid the terrain, fixing proportions and generally just making it smoother, and overall I think it looks a bit better. Now it was finally time to start putting this thing together. One by one, I placed in each of the different houses, arranging them to make a dynamic village with lots of different height variation and sightlines. As I was doing this, I was also laying out the roads in white wool, which you will be able to swap out for your preferred block later on. We now had the bones of what would become our coloring book village, but there was still a lot more that needed to be done. Next, I added in crop fields by first drawing some shapes with the surface spline brush and then stacking them up to make some crumbling cobbled walls. I then made some patterns and painted them inside the walls to simulate rows of plowed farmland. After all that was done, I took some trees and boulders and dotted them around to fill out the empty spaces in the map to make it a little more cozy. Finally, after looking at the empty little roundabout area in the center of the village, I decided to add one last structure that could be like a bell tower or messenger pigeon tower or something. I guess that's for you to decide. Oh yeah, by the way, this is just one of 3 different maps that I've made that you can download and practice your building on. I also made an Asian-inspired mountain village with my friend Valerian, who helped me make this jungle village a few videos back. We followed the same process as the farm village, but spent a lot more time working on the terrain due to it being very steep and hilly. Going up through the middle of the village, it starts with a dock, goes through a marketplace, and then up to a mountain temple. Then to the side of the village, I added a winding path that wraps around the hill and leads up to a palace, nestled in the hills looking down on the village below. I really like the setting for this one. The frozen ocean and icy cliffs create such a cool atmosphere for the village. The other map is a massive fantasy castle set on its own plateau. This was my first attempt at making a castle in Minecraft, so forgive me if it looks a little bit off. It sits in a very defensive position with the only way in and out being over this giant bridge. More info on how to download these for Java and Bedrock at the end of the video. Now here's where the fun part starts. Here I am back in this wonderful, weird and wacky Willy Wonka farming village, and next to me I can see something that resembles a tree. But why is it pink? This is the part where you get to swap out the crazy colors for the ones you actually want, which will finally make this something like a coloring book. At this point, I should also say there's no right or wrong way to do this. You are absolutely free to go outside the proverbial lines and scribble all over it. Option 1 is that we go for the classic manual power, one block at a time. Although I've mostly been building with world edit and commands in this video, this is where you get the most detail. But it will take a while to replace all the blocks in this village, which brings us to option 2, world edit. If you've never heard of this Minecraft mod before, get ready to have your mind blown. Once installed, I'll have a link on how to do that in the description. You can take a wooden axe, select whatever area you want to affect with 2 points, and then run the replace command. For example, replace light blue wool with stripped acacia wood. Or you can just be lazy like me and type hand, which will use whatever block is in your player's hand. You can do this for any block and in no time replace the goofy colors for something that you want. But if you want an even easier way, that's right, there's an easy way, then option 3 is using the replace near command. I'd recommend going somewhere in the middle of the map and then typing replace near, the radius, and then what blocks we want to change. This essentially removes the need to fly around and make a selection. And now for option 4. This one is the closest to an actual coloring book. If we take a tool from the creative menu, for example this shovel, we can turn it into a paintbrush with the command brush, sphere, the block that we want to use, and then the size. I'm just going to choose 3. But before we use it, we do /mask and then the thing that we want to paint on. Now you can fly around and use this like an actual coloring book, which is so cool. I sent one of the structures to my friend Lego, who has a really unique building style, to see what he would do with it. And of course he transformed it in the most incredible detail, which just goes to show, even the most complex and detailed creations can be reduced down to simple blocky shapes. Oh, and here's another idea. Next time you're building, challenge yourself by only picking 2 or 3 full blocks. No stairs, no slabs, no walls, no nothing. See what you can do with only a few full blocks and try and make some cool shapes. Who knows, maybe you'll find it easier to create interesting forms, or maybe you'll hate it and go back to your original way, but it doesn't hurt to try. Minecraft is an infinitely creative game. There are limitless possibilities to what you can do, which is super inspiring, but for some of us that can also be quite overwhelming. I know for me personally, a coloring book style world would have been really helpful when I was just getting started learning to build in Minecraft. Setting creative limits on yourself can be a really freeing tool if you feel stuck and don't know where to go. So if you want this exact village map, there is a free download in the description. There will be both Java and Bedrock options available, although I don't think the world edit stuff will work for you on Bedrock, sorry. If you want the Asian-inspired mountain village or castle maps, then I'll have a link to my Patreon where you can get those too. If you like this stuff and would like to see more from other builders, comment down below, and if there's enough interest, I can make more of these that are bigger and better in a bunch of different styles. And lastly, if you want more building tutorials, check out this playlist on my second channel where I post short and easy to follow videos covering all the basics of creative building. And remember, it's okay to be this guy.